Alright, it's Bill. I'm back. Been a busy few days getting some great recipes out there, but I kind of had a challenge for myself and haven't really figured it all out, so we kind of figure it out as we go. But basically, you know, when I was a kid and time was of the essence, my mom would go buy this box of stuff and you mix it with some ground beef. You know, it would assist the ground beef. And I'm like, it was full of really awful bad things for you to eat. And so I'm like, there has to be a better way, right? So I'm going to show you how you can make this the absolute most simple way. You know, depending on what your kids like or what your spouse likes or what you like. This is something, and I've said this before, goes great into a little lock top container to take to work, throw in the microwave. You know, it's a good lunch food. So let me just kind of go over some of this stuff and we'll get started. I got a pan here heating up and that's what I'm kind of waiting for. Got to turn up just a hair. So I'm going to tell you how I do it and how you can do it, right? So this is a pound of ground beef, right? Well, I actually bought this extra lean sirloin. Let me tell you, it's what, $1 more, maybe $1.30 more, but I poured it all in here. There's literally no grease. There's nothing you've got to like strain out. So I could have left it in here, but I wanted you to see this, because if you use ground beef, I would suggest putting it through a strainer, or you know, at least slotted spoon it out or whatever. All right, so we get that back out of the way. And I got 2 tablespoons of butter, right? So far so good. And I chopped up an onion, and this was a really big onion, so it's only about 3/4 of it. But as you can see, it's a good healthy cup, a little more than a cup. You know, and it's always hard to decipher that, because if you put it in a food processor, you know, it's probably about a cup. And I just kind of coarsely cut it. I was kind of pretending like, what would I do if I were kind of in a hurry, you know? I get home from work and I just want to get something done. Something cooked, something to eat. I think so far this is pretty easy. And I want to keep the pan a little toasty. So I want to kind of soften this up. And I'm telling you, I really did this quickly to kind of represent, gosh, what do you do, you know, in a hurry. Of course, I always say when you're moving the knife, that's when you go slow. And I don't know if you heard on one of my other videos, my pan finally gave it the ghost, my non-stick, and I had to break out a backup I had. And I'm telling you, for this kind of stuff, it's invaluable. It's a nice heavy pan. Got it on sale. I think it was less than $100 for a 12-inch non-stick, really high quality. That's really impressive. Just keep watching the sales. You know, Teflon, it just scrapes off. These are, I don't know, ceramic coated or something. And don't believe the ads on TV with the diamond coating or whatever the heck they're trying to sell you now. So you can always tell, you know, onion kind of sticks together. You know, it has layers, but it kind of sticks together. And right as it's softening up, it's going to kind of fall apart. And that's what I'm looking for. And we're just about to that point. So, if you don't like onion, guess what? Onion has good flavor. If you'd rather do something else, if you like garlic better, a couple of cloves of garlic would be fine. Scallion, or shallots, I mean, you can just do whatever you want. If you're trying to disguise onion, like my mom probably did when I was a kid, just cut it up really small and don't put as much in. Same thing goes. Big old debate about mushrooms. You love or hate them, right? So this is all done, so I just need to get these mushrooms in there. I was all excited because mushrooms are on sale. It doesn't take much, right? And button are fine, you know, if you want something a little fancier, go ahead, but I just felt with the flavoring we're going to do in this, it might not be worth your while. And it's funny, I made a recipe yesterday with mushrooms, and the mushrooms were kind of dry, and they were like super like sucking all of everything out of my pan, and I'm like, what's going on? And it literally took like 3 minutes of real cooking for them to start giving up liquid. And you really want to make sure you get to that point. You want to make sure you really get them, or otherwise all that liquid's going to kind of destroy your roux. And I just slice these, you know. If some of the slices are too big and you don't like them, just cut them in half, you know. Once again, you can cut them up pretty small, but when we cook these, really cook them down, they're going to shrink up. By the time this meal's all done, they will have dwindled into very small pieces. Especially if you like really cut them small to begin with. So this is proof that if you ask me to figure something out, I will on the spot work on it for you. Yeah. Nothing to get excited about yet, right? Well, pepper. Now we got this started. I try and hold the pepper mill almost horizontal because I don't want to steam and get all the stuff stuck in here in the mechanism. Bet you didn't know that's why I do that, right? Some things I just do without thinking. Alright. So my goal here was to try and figure out how I was going to take all those preservatives out, which we're not doing anything pre-made put in it, so that's pretty simple. And then have enough flavor, and I'm going to show you some options on that. And we're getting most of the liquid cooked out. You know, if you have a good non-stick pan, you can walk away for a minute. Trust me, it's not gonna burn up. Well, it might get overcooked, but you know how that works. All right. So, really is almost done. Yeah. And how I tell is, you know, if you move the food around and you see bottom of the pan, it takes a second for it to kind of fill in. Liquid's pretty much gone. Okay, so what's the next step? I don't know. Maybe I forgot. Just can't take it easy. I have 3 tablespoons of flour. I'm going to turn it down just a hair. And put in there pretty quick because I don't want it to get steamed in the container. Obviously, if I were just making this for myself, I would just have my big canister of flour and I'd just be spooning it in. Right, now there's no liquid. There's not much of anything. Remember what I always say though, we want to cook this for a minute. So I want to wake up that flour. Wake up! Oh yeah, okay. Everything's pretty well mixed and happy. Stirring up till all the white of the flour is covered or mixed in, just like that. Now what do I do? Well, like I said, we needed that minute. Minute's about done. So I have a can of broth. Can of broth is 14, 15 ounces, whatever. I'm probably only going to need like a cup of it, but let's kind of slowly pour it in here, mix it up. And you know, it's room temperature, right? We don't have to refrigerate this, so this is okay. Da, 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 da. All right. If my math is correct, we're just about because 14 ounces is a cup and 6 ounces, right? I'm going to keep this pretty thick. So we're going to boil it up a little bit here. Flour always sticks to the spatula. I really like it. That's kind of the downside. That's the downside. Which is really cool because it doesn't conduct heat, so it's not like you're using, well, I wouldn't use metal. And, you know, plastic, I had a plastic spatula I was using for something the other day. And the pan wasn't real hot, but hot enough, and I had the spatula, I was kind of working some food around. All of a sudden I realized the end of this spatula had melted. I had to throw it away. And it was a brand name, like I probably paid halfway decent money for it at some point. Okay, so still got some pretty thicky stuff in here. Let's see, a little bit. That's definitely enough. So you could probably just get away if you want some measurements. I know that's how I'll put it up. A cup would be fine. And this is just adding some flavoring. You know, I mean, you could use water if you wanted to, but and please don't use bouillon cubes that you dissolve because those are like salt on steroids. I'll show you some tricks of how to get around that. All right, so now as you can see, this is like over thick soup, like kind of soup you get at restaurants that I don't like, because you know it's a roux that's just made it so thick. turn it down though, because it's bubbling pretty hard in here. Smells delicious, right? So we let that simmer for a couple minutes. It's been a couple minutes, and it's thickening right back up. So we're still good, right? I mean, I got no problems here. Got no complaints. Depending on how hungry your kids are, this could actually feed like 4 people, right? All right. So what's the next step we're going to do? I'm going to throw in. Grab my. This is why your kids are going to like this. All right. Honest to God, this is the secret to it all. I need a couple tablespoons of ketchup. 1, 2. It's going to give it a cool color, and then kids will like it. Plus, it's adding the vinegar. Okay. I don't have yellow mustard. I don't usually eat yellow mustard. So what do I want? I want about a tablespoon, a little hefty. You can be the judge of that. I might have to add some ketchup, but I just want to give it a little color. And I just wanted to pick things that hopefully everyone has in their house. If you don't, run into McDonald's and steal some packets. Just kidding, I didn't say that. Can't get, I'm still not used to squeeze bottles, A lot of the stuff I used to cook, the old days you took the bottle. Actually, you don't hit it on the back, you hit it on the 57. But that's another story. I just want to get the color just a little redder. Kind of a salmon color. Makes it a little more enticing. And it's funny because, believe it or not, it smells good. Now, we've got a little flavor in here. And just got some good color. It's nice and thick. So, here's where it comes into your options. Alright, so I would say, put a little dill weed in, right? Just a little bit for flavor. And you say, I don't have dill weed. I don't use dill weed. Okay, don't get upset. How about cutting up a little dill pickle? Let me tell you, lots of good flavor there. So one or the other, really doesn't matter. But I think you need a little dill, just kind of bring that out. And so this almost becomes like a big hamburger pie kind of thing, right? And I'm sure if you really wanted to, you could put this all together, sprinkle some grated cheese like Colby Jack or slices of cheese on top, let it melt, and your kids would think that was really fun because we all like gooey and cool. And that's what we try and do. We want to figure out, how do you make kids eat things? Alright, so let's get back. Now I've got this all mixed together, I want to get this beef in here. Okay. That's okay. I'm just really going to spill something and embarrass myself. So now we basically want to get the burger to kind of pick up some of all that good flavor. And it's going to simmer all at the end, so we're pretty safe here. I really need a larger frying pan. And you can use this in a pot. I mean, you can do it. I wanted to keep this kind of like a one-pan meal, that's why. Burger's getting all nice and toasty warm. And I like the ground sirloin. It just has a little more texture, you know, less fat, better flavor. So if you know any place you can get it, it's just so worth it. It just saves you so much trouble. I could do a whole show about that. But... All right. So far we got it pretty cool, right? This is okay. What do we do? Well, let's say your kids like things salty. Then you should keep Worcestershire sauce around because you can use this as a salt substitute for just about anything you make. So I'm just going to put a little plop in here, probably almost a tablespoon. And this is a whole lot better for you. It says a teaspoon is a serving size. And the sodium is 650 milligrams, but that's nothing compared to if you're just scooping in there. Alright, so how do I make this really easy? So I'm driving home from work, I run into my local Chinese restaurant and I get a pint, 2 cups of cooked rice. Or I cook this rice up ahead of time, whichever you like, but I want 2 cups. 1.5. It's 2 cups. With me so far? Now doesn't this sound better? And this is kind of my own creation, just thinking about what I would have eaten as a kid or what I like now. And you can, like I said, you can modify this any way you want, right? So one of the things I want to do before I finish this off, everything's heating up, is I always like to figure out how do I sneak veggies into a dish. If you're like not a big fan, or your kids aren't a big fan, or your spouse isn't a big fan. So how about throwing in like half a cup of baby peas? They're frozen peas, right? Could have been half a cup of green beans. Either way, right? So then, just want to finish this up. Pretty hot there. I just want to finish this up, make this a little creamier. I got about, I'm going to start with this is 3/4 of a cup, but I'm going to start with about half cup milk. And if you're not used to keeping milk in the cupboard, or in the fridge, I'm sorry, that's okay because I don't drink it. So I keep half and half in the fridge because half and half is a much bigger shelf or longer shelf life, and it's really not a whole lot different than whole milk. And we can see now the consistency is really changing up here. Like I said, my goal was 3/4 of a cup. Might not need it all. But we're just stirring around until we break down the consistency, you know, the flour and the chicken stock, which could be vegetable stock. I don't keep beef stock on the shelf. I rarely would have any use for it. So I'd be, you know, hard pressed, but there's really not a whole lot of difference. I keep both vegetable and chicken stock. So now, I'm hoping that you're just in awe and going, I'm going to run out and make this today. Because that's how I felt when I first thought of this. And yeah, there's about a 1/4 cup. So yeah, I put a half cup in, 1/4 cup left. Normally I just have my milk jug out here, but I wanted to show you the actual measurements, because part of what I really try to do, because you know most home cooks don't measure, you know, and so I really think hard and I try to come up with the measurements so my recipes are complete, because I always start every video with the actual recipe. And I will, you know, and you can't always be exact, because let's say you put a little extra flour in, and maybe you put a little less flour by this, you know. So there is kind of a challenge to it. Maybe all the water didn't evaporate out of the mushrooms. So this is all nice and toasty. Smells pretty darn good, okay? So this is something I think that you could probably successfully give to anybody in your family. You just have to figure out what to put in it that they would like. So it's bubbling away right there. I'll turn it off. Just want to show you that this has a nice creamy consistency. Like a good risotto. And you can see, so you got your, you know, you got everything in there you could possibly want, right? I think this looks really good. If you don't, well, what could you do? You could do this with chicken. You could, I'd probably stick with chicken or ground beef. I mean, if you had leftover, if you had some pulled pork, you could use that. If you had some chuck steak that you cooked from a pot roast, you could do that. Just make sure you cut it up pretty good. Put any kind of vegetable you want in here, you know, that's going to kind of hold its own. That's why sometimes green beans work better. But I just thought, well, I had peas in the refrigerator. Okay, that's what I was thinking. So this is really easy stuff to do. Just remember, it's how it looks. That's how, especially, you know, the younger the kids are, the less tolerant they are. And so you think about it, how do you want it to look? So that's where you can really play with the mustard and ketchup and just come up with what you want. Anyway, I have to try this. So I'm just telling you right now, thank you for subscribing. If you haven't, please do. And I hope you do comment. I do get a lot of comments, and I do reply to them. Ring that notification bell so you get all these, because I've got some really cool recipes coming up. I mean, I've got 200 and some recipes out there. You know, I have people all the time, you know, my friends and family, they're like, hey, can you send me that recipe? Because they're too lazy to look at the video. I'm like, look at the video, come on, give me some credit. But anyway, this is fun to do, and I hope you have fun. And you know, if your kids are old enough, let them work on this. Maybe they'll more likely eat it if they're making it. It's really nothing. But anyway, thank you very much, and I'll see you back soon. Have a great day.